SCP-4126 The Bedsheet Ghost. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4126 is to be neatly folded and stored in a standard anomalous object storage container with padding on its floor, ceiling, and walls. The object is currently being stored in Area 12, the area in which it was discovered. Due to concerns of the security precautions regarding its permission to roam the facility freely, SCP-4126-B has been restricted to staying within 3 meters of its supervisor, and may only roam for 2/3 of the time in which it maintains sentience. At least one Level 2 Foundation personnel must supervise SCP-4126-B and keep track of time. When its roaming period has expired, SCP-4126-B is to be escorted back to its containment chamber for its remaining time of sentience. This does not apply to the exceptions of its haunting cycle, such as the week leading up to Halloween. See paragraph 5 of description for more information. In the rare event in which SCP-4126-B refuses to comply with the commands of personnel, Halloween-themed candy such as candy corn or bars of milk chocolate are to be retrieved and used as a form of bait. A pea-sized tracking device has been sewn into its fabric in the event in which SCP-4126-A is taken without proper permission or lost. Dr. Redacted, the researcher who discovered SCP-4126, was voluntarily tasked with supervising SCP-4126-B. Description: SCP-4126 is a standard white bedsheet for a king-sized mattress. The bedsheet does not have a tag or brand name on it. On the center of the sheet are 2 equally sized and parallel holes cut neatly into the sheet. Closer inspection shows no form of damage or wear. However, being within 0.9 meters, 3 feet, of the object can cause problems with radio frequencies, specifically that of cellular devices and any form of radio. This complicated the creation of a tracking device for SCP-4126, though the use of an aluminum alloy was found to be quite effective against its effects. SCP-4126 usually lays completely still as a bedsheet in its resting form, or SCP-4126-A. However, the bedsheet will occasionally rise on its own, as if being put on by someone. This state is classified as SCP-4126-B, or its haunting form. Looking under the sheets reveals nothing. No human, entity, or any form of organism, living or dead. In its haunting form, as done by personnel, SCP-4126-B gains the ability to speak English in a similar voice to that of an American male, approximately between ages 16 and 21, and has an estimated IQ of average intelligence for that age. SCP-4126-B is both sentient and sapient, and enjoys messing around with Foundation personnel by attempting to spook them by shouting "boo" and or appearing from the ground, ceiling, or surrounding walls. The object also seems to have virtually no sense of seriousness or urgency. See Addendum 4126-1 for more information. In this form, SCP-4126-B becomes incorporeal and is no longer affected by the laws of gravity, collision, propulsion, motion, or mass. The negation of these laws of physics grants SCP-4126-B the ability to effortlessly phase through almost all forms of physical matter. See Addendum 4126-4 for the exception. And float upside down without folding in on itself. It locomotes via levitation, which has been made possible by its incorporeal nature. The propulsion and pull that allows SCP-4126-B to move without any known limbs, wings, or other appendages required for movement has yet to have been explained, and all theories regarding this have proven to be either ridiculous or false. Despite being unable to collide with most physical matter, SCP-4126-B inexplicably possesses the ability to allow collision with any living organism. By what has been observed, it only grants this to individuals who it can trust, such as Dr. Redacted, the supervisor and discoverer of the object. Only 7 known Foundation personnel besides Dr. Redacted have been granted this ability. When not trying to spook Foundation personnel, SCP-4126-B is generally compliant and very polite with Foundation personnel. Some individuals have taken to visiting it often. Due to its low risk of danger and well-behaved nature, communication and visits with SCP-4126-B are generally permitted. SCP-4126-B only stays in this form for up to 12 hours a day. See paragraph 5 of description for more details. Then turns back into SCP-4126-A, or its resting form. As a result of the new security protocols set in place, see Special Containment Procedures for more information, SCP-4126-A can now easily be located. When becoming aware of the object's change of form, whether it be visually or from approximated time span of sentience, the designated supervisor of SCP-4126-B is to report to SCP-4126's containment chamber, neatly fold it, and place it on its designated table. The time span in which it stays in its haunting form, or SCP-4126-B, depends on the current moon phase in the lunar cycle. Footnote 1. The lunar cycle has 8 major phases. Current holiday and/or time of day. By default, SCP-4126 is most active at night, but it is sometimes found in its haunting form in the middle of the day. Rather than all lunar phases being related to its haunting cycle, SCP-4126 only reacts to the 8 major moon phases. Footnote 2. The 8 major lunar phases are new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter, and waxing crescent. If the lunar cycle is drawing closer to a full moon, SCP-4126 becomes more active by 1.5 hours each day, and less active by 1.5 hours each day when drawing closer to a new moon. When it is a full moon, SCP-4126 remains in its haunting form for the full 12-hour time span. On the contrary, SCP-4126 remains in its resting form for the whole day on a new moon. The only exceptions to this haunting cycle are October 31st and November 1st. For the week leading up to Halloween, SCP-4126 will remain in its haunting form without end. It will also show immense joy and celebrate the holiday in a few different ways. See Addendum 4126-3. On All Saints' Day, i.e. November 1st, the object will remain in its resting form for the entire day. These two circumstances are not affected by the haunting cycle in any way. After these 8 days, the haunting cycle will once again take effect until the week leading up to Halloween 1 year later. This has happened every year with no change in activity or dates in which activities occur. SCP-4126 was discovered when the bedsheet of Dr. Redacted from Area 12 started talking to him as he slept. He would wake up and imagine that it was simply a figment of his imagination until the bedsheet spoke to him while he was conscious, begging him to release it. The object was soon after brought upon the Foundation's attention and given an SCP classification. See Addendum 4126-4 for results on testing with mattresses. Addendum 4126-1. An interview was being conducted on SCP-4126-B shortly after SCP classification to obtain a basic understanding of its sentience. The interview did not go as planned. Interviewed: SCP-4126-B. Interviewer: Dr. Redacted. Begin log. Dr. Redacted. SCP-4126-B, would you mind if I asked you a few questions? SCP-4126-B. Of course not, my man. What's up? How long have you been sentient? I don't know. That's like asking if I remember being born. Do you? Dr. Redacted begins to write down a few notes. Hey, what's that on your shoulder? Dr. Redacted looks at his shoulder and back, only to see that SCP-4126-B was gone. It had decided to sneak up behind him to shout boo, surprising Dr. Redacted and causing him to flinch. SCP-4126-B returns to its side of the table, snickering. Okay, you've had your fun. Let's move on. Now, have you ever? There's a mustard stain on your shirt. Dr. Redacted looks down at his shirt, only to be surprised by SCP-4126-B, who quickly emerged from the floor where Dr. Redacted's feet lay. SCP-4126 once again returns to its original position, laughing. SCP-4126-B, that is quite enough. Please, just answer my questions so we can make this shorter than it has to be. There's a spider above you! Dr. Redacted looks up, only to see SCP-4126-B looking down at him from above his head. This interview is over. End log. Closing statement. SCP-4126-B seems to have little to no understanding of when serious behavior is required. It has not a care in the world, and simply wants to make people jump from their seats with its shenanigans. That being said, there's something so oddly likable about it. It could be its polite attitude and hearty, no pun intended, personality. Or it might have some sort of mimetic effect that causes others around it to enjoy its company. Who knows? All that's for certain is that it means no harm and has an eternal desire for fun. How delightful. Addendum 4126-2. SCP-4126-B does not try to leave the facility on purpose. Rather, similarly to SCP-343, it chooses to stay within its confines. It once drifted to the surface out of curiosity, where it was quickly discovered and escorted back to the facility through use of Halloween-based candy. Since then, SCP-4126-B must stay within the supervision of at least one Foundation personnel at all times, and is only permitted to roam within 3 meters, 10 feet, of its supervisor. SCP-4126-B must also be returned to its containment chamber after a certain time, depending on the moon phase in the lunar cycle. This does not apply to the exceptions of its haunting cycle, such as the week leading up to Halloween. See paragraph 5 of description for more information. Addendum 4126-3. SCP-4126-B was observed to experience a behavioral change in the week leading up to Halloween. Its behavioral changes can be categorized in 3 stages, the first 3 lasting 2 days, while the fourth only 1 day. Each stage overlaps each other, with the final stage being a sort of grand finale. The following are the 4 stages of the behavioral changes. Stage 1. Candy. Exactly 7 days before Halloween, SCP-4126-B will remain in its haunting form without end and act in a notably joyful manner. In addition, it will begin giving candy to some on-site personnel. This candy includes chocolate, gummy candy, and lollipops. This candy drops out of the bottom of SCP-4162-B and through its eye holes. All candy given by SCP-4126-B has a Halloween theme, such as candies being shaped like pumpkins and wrapping with orange and black color schemes. This candy is completely normal, with no potential anomalous health risks or anomalous properties. For this reason, all personnel who are given candy by SCP-4126-B are permitted to eat said candy, but must report any anomalous or otherwise abnormal effects to their supervisors. At this point in time, no anomalous occurrences regarding consumption of the candy have been reported. Stage 2. Decorations. 2 days after Stage 1, SCP-4126-B will begin to hang up Halloween-themed decorations across the facility when no one is present. These decorations include jack-o'-lanterns, rubber bats that are tied to strings, skeletons, Halloween banners, and black and orange balloons tied to stairways and tables. Whenever SCP-4126-B starts decorating, all nearby cameras display static for a limited time. The static ends approximately 3 minutes after cutting out, which is how long it takes for the decorating to end. It only does so when there are no personnel in the room, and any personnel intruding on the decorating stage are simply asked politely by SCP-4126-B to return in a few minutes. It is unknown where SCP-4126-B gets access to all of these decorations, but similar to its candy, they have no anomalous properties or effects. To this day, no anomalies have been reported about these decorations either. Stage 3. Encouragement. Another 2 days after Stage 2, Halloween-themed music will begin to play across the PA system at random times. This happens once per day, typically after 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. The songs vary from thriller to monster mash, and have no pattern or way of predicting the next song. The object also starts to encourage all personnel to wear costumes for every Halloween. Ever since SCP-4126 has been contained, more and more personnel have been celebrating the season with costumes. At the time of this addendum being recorded, approximately 75% of the on-site personnel who have met SCP-4126-B have begun wearing costumes to celebrate. Stage 4. The Monster Mash. On the day of Halloween, music with the Halloween theme will play over the PA from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, with a 5-minute intermission between songs. SCP-4126-B will begin preparing some sort of social gathering, referred to as the Monster Mash by the object, in a main area of socialization, typically the cafeteria. These preparations include even more decorations, food, beverages, and candy. It is encouraged by the site director to attend the party if possible, though not a mandatory event. This includes security personnel, as all other on-site SCP objects enter a comatose state, of course only applying to those who are sentient, which lasts throughout the duration of the gathering. Personnel who consume any of the food or drink have been observed to feel a small sensation of euphoria, which lasts up to 10 minutes after consumption. The object acts as a form of overseer of the social gathering and watches over the attendance. At exactly 10 p.m., all music over the PA will cease and the Monster Mash will officially conclude, followed by all personnel being instructed to leave by the object. It does so in a calm but firm tone until all personnel vacate the premises of the social gathering. Aftermath. By morning, the area of the party and all decorations will be fully reverted. No decorations, candy, or other objects from SCP-4126-B remaining. SCP-4126-A will soon be found neatly folded in its containment chamber. Above SCP-4126's chamber door will be one final banner that reads, "Happy Halloween," in an orange and black papyrus font. Addendum 4126-4. As previously stated in paragraph 6 of description, theories were being made regarding SCP-4126 and mattresses. It was theorized that SCP-4126 is rendered completely immobile when applied to a properly sized mattress for the object, or a king-size mattress to be specific. The test can be seen below. Test 4126-1. September 24th, redacted. Subject: SCP-4126. Procedure: SCP-4126-A was applied to 3 different king-size mattresses in 3 days to test the theory of whether SCP-4126-B has a reaction to mattresses or not. The results were observed by Dr. Redacted via video recording when the test had concluded. Results: for all 3 mattresses, SCP-4126-B showed the same result, being unable to move in the slightest while begging in a scared and confused tone for someone to release it. This test was the first and only known instance in which SCP-4126-B was observed to cry or even express any known negative emotion. Analysis: the test proves all theories of SCP-4126 and mattresses to be true. Applying SCP-4126 to a mattress causes complete immobility in the object while still maintaining sentience. It also appears that mattresses are the only form of physical matter that SCP-4126 cannot or refuses to phase through. This newly gained information will be useful in development of future containment methods. Personal note: watching SCP-4126-B suffer in such a way was very disheartening to say the least. Poor thing was stuck there, wailing and crying for mercy, and all I did was get lunch. Sure, we learned about how to contain it, but at what cost? I don't think I can forgive myself for this. Editor notes. Dr. Redacted was later administered Class C amnestics after feeling prolonged guilt in his actions. As for SCP-4126-B, it seems to have either forgotten or chosen to forget about the test. Either way, it does not seem to care and has returned to its previously hearty and lively, once again, no pun intended, state of being. Thank you for listening to SCP-4126, The Bedsheet Ghost, by Dr. Hank Riper. If you enjoyed this SCP, please like and subscribe, and follow the link in the description to the SCP Wiki, and vote up to support it and the SCP Wiki as a whole.